We begin with what appears to be a widening war in Ukraine. Today, a senior Russian military commander said that Vladimir Putin's ambitions in Ukraine include seizing control of territory in the east and all the way across the south of the country. It's unclear if this is now official Kremlin policy. If it is, it would add a completely new dimension to the conflict, which so far has brought heavy losses and few gains for Russia. Some of the strongest Ukrainian resistance is at the Azovstal steel plant in the port city of Mariupol. A group of Ukrainian soldiers there resisting Russian troops refusing to surrender. Here's a look now at the vast industrial complex that has become a symbol of Ukrainian defiance.
A steel plant from a dystopian nightmare. Smoke and fire as far as the eye can see. Outside the city, satellite photos show what appear to be mass graves that could hold the remains of thousands of people. While civilians are stuck here, the remaining fighters are defiant, holed up underground in a network of tunnels. I say that while we are here, Mariupol remains under the control of Ukraine. Mariupol was and always will stay Ukrainian, no matter what they say. Russia claims to have liberated the city they bombed for weeks with impunity and says they'll keep those in the steel plant trapped there. U.S. President Joe Biden said Mariupol was still in Ukrainian hands and urged Russia to open humanitarian corridors to let more civilians leave. Evacuees who made it to the city of Zaporizhia struggled to describe the devastation of their home city. Hell is what's happening there. It's not possible to just retell it. Russians are killing people for nothing. If the world doesn't take measures, Zaporizhia will be the same. We left yesterday. There was a hole left instead of a 9-floor building. All the doorways are destroyed completely. All the windows are shattered. In our backyard, we have a little cemetery. We buried 7 people there. For those stuck in the city, supplies are reportedly running low. It's no telling how long they can still hold out.
And that is the big question tonight. Let's go to Kyiv, where DW's Matthias Berlinger is standing by for us. Matthias, what do we know about the Ukrainian troops and the civilians inside that steel plant in Mariupol? I mean, they are refusing to surrender, but their options are running out, aren't they?
Yeah, their options are probably running out. Of course, nobody knows how big the supplies are, the food supplies that they have, as these bunkers underneath the steelworks. They were built after the war, after World War II, and they were designed for people to stay in there, to stock up there on food there, and to stay there for a long time. But as the city has been starved, and as all these Soviet bunkers have not been maintained the way they were designed, the question is how long, of course, they can stay there. They remain defiant, but it's, of course, a matter of time until they run out of food, ammunition, and other supplies.
And what about these reports, Matthias, of mass graves being found near Mariupol?
That's something to expect. The mayor of Mariupol estimates the number of dead at least 20,000 people, and they are most probably have been buried somewhere quickly. No city has the capacity to store 20,000 troops in morgues, for example. And it's something we have been seeing in many of the places that were occupied, where many people have been killed, that these mass graves, of course, were there, and the place that the satellite images show, Ukrainian intelligence at least says it's one of the places where the Russians have brought bodies before, so it's highly probable that something like this will be found there.
And Matthias, we've almost become used to it. It's happened so much now. The air siren in the background there where you are, there in Kyiv. We've reported so much this week on the fighting being in the east of the country, but the siren there tells us that the threat remains in the capital, doesn't it?
Yes, we have air sirens here from time to time. This means that something is in the air, of course. That's why it's called an air siren. But we don't know what and where, but something seems to be flying in our direction. It could be, Kyiv could be the goal. It could be also some city in the same direction. Of course, airstrikes, especially with rockets, have been common throughout the time. And we've seen them in Western Ukraine, in Central Ukraine. And also, they have not stopped here.
And we know that there have been more negotiations between the Russian and the Ukrainian sides. Has there been any progress to report?
These negotiations at this moment are on the working level. They're about humanitarian corridors. These corridors are sometimes agreed upon, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but we are not talking now about peace negotiations, about ceasefire negotiations, about any way out of the conflict. For this, I think that the distrust between the two sides and also the goals of the two sides are very far apart. Ukraine is convinced that the goal of Russia is to exterminate Ukraine as a nation and a large part of its population, and it wants to defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty, whereas Russia has, of course, given signs that it does not accept Ukraine as a sovereign nation. So I think it's very hard to find a compromise here.
DW's Matthias Berlinger with the latest tonight from Kyiv. Matthias, thank you.